Greetings in the name of Yahuwah and His Son Yahusha HaMashiach. My name is Malak Shalomo. Today is the 11th of December 2023. It's 9:06 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm gonna do a little technical analysis using the Wycoff theory on the weekly chart on the ES. So let's jump into this here. Excuse me. So firstly, we had this preliminary stop here on May the 20th, 2022. So let's point that out here. That's the, wait, hold on. Not that one. We need the arrow. All right. So that was the preliminary stop there on May the 20th, 2022. That stopped at 40.36.75. And then we had the selling climax here on the 17th of June 2022. That stopped there at 38.67. And then we had the automatic rally, which was on the 16th of August 2022. And that topped out right there at 45.50, right? And then we had, let's see here, the secondary test. That was a sign of weakness on the 13th of October 2022. And that stopped out there at 37.13, right? So after that, now we've had this the structure moving up, right? We had this this bullish run here. So it's moving out of phase A and moving into phase B. So we're getting support here at the preliminary stop, right? So we had a lot of wicks right there at the preliminary stop. We had some resistance here at around, let's see where that is. Let's say average 43.6825. Right, so we had a little resistance there, and eventually price broke out of that around, let's see, roughly the 30th of May, somewhere around here. So when we broke out of that, we actually broke the automatic rally, which is basically the resistance level of the range, right? And we had the uptrust action here. So that was on let's say roughly the 24th of July. But I would have to go down to the daily chart to get the actual date, which is the 27th of July, right? So going back to the weekly, 27th of July, and let's just label that, right? Hold on 1 second. Right, so that was actually 2023. All right. Right, so we had that uptrust action right there, breaking out of this zone of the range above the automatic rally, which is a sign of strength. And we had a minor little pullback here. Well, not really minor. This kind of caused some bearish kind of sentiment in the market, because we really had like a retest, and it was a nice little trend, because this is a weekly chart. So this is a nice little trend in the opposite direction, in the bearish direction, right? So on the 27th of October 2023, we had this lowest point of support, right? So after that, we are having this rally here for a couple of weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 weeks in a row, we had this bullish activity, right? So we're back up. We broke above here the automatic rally, 45.55.50. Let's see what date that was. And that's going to be a rough estimate because it's on the weekly chart, right? So broke out of here the 13th of November 2023, somewhere around that week, right? So after we broke out, we actually had some smaller candles from these bigger candles that caused the bullish action the candles are starting to slow down. Right now, there's still the same amount of volume. So let me make that bigger. So looking at the volume here compared to this candle, right? So let's just point this out, right? So this candle here would be this volume bar, right? And this candle here would be that volume bar. And as you can see, that these candles here, right? These candles here are having kind of like roughly the same volume, but they're not covering the same amount of distance, right? So that's anomalous here. That's the first thing to point out really in the bullish action here, is that these candles are getting smaller on the weekly. Some of them are having wicks at the bottom, showing that there is some selling pressure and buyers have to come and stabilize that, right? Now it's still bullish. We can still get a breakout of this uptrust action here, right? And head towards the highs of like 5,028.25, right? But just to make a note that this could be like some uptrust action again to test above here before we actually get like a breakout of the highs, right? So it's still bullish, right? But still just noting that something else I want to show here with the wise waves is that compared to this bullish run here, right? We had a lot of volume accumulating here in the wise waves. And now in this push up here, the volume is much lower, right? So that's something to note as well. This could be indicative of like a false breakout. So all of these things you have to keep in mind. This is the VRSI, the volume relative strength indicator from quantum trading. You can see in this bullish run here, right? We had a lot of buying volume going in. And now on this bullish run here, the buying volume isn't as much, right? We don't have those big bright bars again for the bullish run. We have these bars here, which are not as strong. And we're getting those darker green bars right there. That's signifying that the buying pressure is still there, but it's slowing down, right? So that's the color you get before you start going into the purple, which is the selling volume, right? But it has to break the mean, because you see it's like a mean right there. And when that volume dries up, it goes into selling pressure, right? So that's the analysis right there on the weekly chart. We're basically in, I would say this is phase B. And one thing to note as well too is that we did not get a spring test, right? Or like a thermal shakeout below the secondary test. So one of the things when you're accumulating, when market makers are accumulating, they like to take from the uptrust, they like to take it back down in phase B and break the lows here of the secondary test or the sign of weakness to shake out any sellers or get sellers in and actually shake them out and actually shake out some buyers as well, right? Now we didn't have that. We had this lowest point of support here, which is it's showing a sign of strength, right? But then this is not confluent with the sign of strength because we're not getting massive volume going in there. And we have these anomalous kind of volume indicators going on here with lower volume on the Ys, lower volume on the VRSI, and these smaller candles approaching this uptrust, right? So let's see here. Let me try and go down to the daily chart and wait, hold on. Before I do that, let me just look at the volume point of control, right? Or the volume profile, sorry. So I started this volume profile here from the beginning of the preliminary test, from the preliminary support and the preliminary stop, sorry. And this is the volume point of control here at 41.35.50. And as you can see, it kind of rotated around there a lot. We got that support there, the preliminary stop. Let me make sure I use the arrows. So that's the preliminary stop right there. This is the volume point of control, right? So the lowest point of support came back and actually tested just above the volume point of control, right? So now we're heading up into a low volume zone, a low volume node where we actually got sellers right there. Initiative sellers came in and took this price back down. Now, if we're looking at this here, we had some major pullbacks in this upward thrust here. When we got up here, we got major selling, right? Now, this is something that could probably play out again. We could probably get a little breakout above that and get major selling again. Now, as I was saying about the spring test, we're supposed to get a nice deep spring test or thermal shakeout and then go into phase C and really break out, right? Now, we're not getting that, so we have to be wary of if they're actually going to do that in the future. So maybe this is a little Christmas Santa rally kind of stuff going on here, and it'll probably get up to this level. And next year we could see some big downward movement before we actually break out again, right? So that's something to be consider going forward in the new year. Let me put on something else here. Right, let me take off the volume profile. All right, just pointing out too on the automatic rally, this is also a high volume node right here at 45.49.50, right? So this is a high volume area here, and this is probably because of selling, right? This is a high volume selling node, right? Because every time it came up to this level, we had sellers. Came up here, we had sellers. They had to push through this level. When we came down here, we got major selling. It tried to push back up, we got major selling again. So this level here, if it breaks down, you could expect a lot of sellers coming in at this level here. All right, let's see here. Let's take this off. Right. So I also did an anchored VWAP from the preliminary stop. Well, actually, it wasn't from the preliminary stop. It's actually from the selling climax, right? So that was the most volume right there. So started from that event. So we have the upper value, the upper VWAP band here, and we have the second upper VWAP band, right? So this is also a lot of times you get a lot of heavy resistance on this second upper VWAP band right here, right? So price has to be really strong to break above this. Now, if you look back here, price actually struggled to break out of this level here, right? So that's where you got the selling as well. So as you can see, it broke that level right there, came back and retested it and got the fall again. From here, we got that fall again straight down to the lowest point of support, right? So just note that this is running into the uptrust level as well, and price is approaching it. So you can get a reversal here. They have to put the buyers have to step on the gas here and really put some volume in to get this level to break, right? So let's see. And this is also like a longer term VWAP I have here from what I would say would be like the distribution part of this the structure here. So this is all the way from September the 7th, 2021, right? So you can see here this upper VWAP band right here. Let me just point this out with the arrow, right? That also caused a lot of resistance, and that's now running into price right now. So let me just make that a little bigger. Now we actually broke above that right there, and it looks like this candle had some problems on the 4th of December with this level, right? Because we have the major wicks coming in here. Well, on the weekly, I guess it's in this week we had some trouble while running into this level here at 46.58.75, right? So you see we have two rejections there. It had to stop, and then it broke out on this candle right here. So we have two kind of confluent resistance levels coming in here. So this is all things to kind of take a look at when you're considering like being very bullish, you know what I'm saying? So I really like the short side, so I'm always looking for these little signs of weakness and stuff like that. So but I'm still bullish though, like I think we'll probably get a little breakout of the uptrust here. So let's see. Let's go down to the 1 hour. Right now, this is also a sign of strength here with this accumulation. This accumulation event here is actually in an upward sloping dynamic, right? It's upward sloping structure, which is showing underlying strength. So on this 1 hour chart, this is looking extremely bullish. The way it's breaking out, the way the structure is happening. You could actually, let's see here. I could actually do a parallel channel. Hold on. Right, so you can see the upward sloping action of price action here coming down, having the automatic reaction, having a test here, and just steadily moving higher, right? So we had this preliminary stop, which is trying to make sure it's not distribution. I'm labeling it preliminary stop. So I didn't label it as an accumulation event. I label it as possible distribution, right? So they actually broke out of these levels here. So it's definitely accumulation, upward sloping structure. So looking at this here, it's definitely looking bullish. We got some pullback here, slight little pullback. Kind of curvatures in these pullback and some big breakouts. Kind of curvature here again. A little breakout here, not as big as this one, but let's see what happens here, man. We got a breakout of the top of this channel here, which is roughly here at 46.82.75, which is basically the high, right? So it's looking bullish for now, but just be mindful that it could turn bearish at any second, right? Because we're running into some serious resistance. So let's take a look here at the market profile. Let's see how that's set up on the 1 hour, which is for the weekly. All right, so we have an overlapping higher value. The previous week's value area high was here at let's see, roughly 46.25.75. And now value area low is at 46.18.75 on this week, and value area high is at 46.59.75. Right, so we have an overlapping higher value, meaning that the value area low did not go above previous value area high, but it's still moving up. So it's moderately bullish, right? So one of the things I look for with these structures here is that if it's going to be bullish, it has to break above the value area high, and we did that today, basically, right? So we had that pullback below, broke above it, and now we're in bullish territory, right? So as far as the market profile for the week is concerned, this is looking bullish right now. So let's look at the weekly pivots, right? So let's consider the central pivots here. Um, we have last week's top central pivot. This is bottom central pivot, and this was the central pivot for last week. It's another overlapping higher value where the bottom central pivot has now moved up to 46.33. The pivot is at 46.42, and top central is at 46.51.25, right? So the top central has moved above previous week's top central, and the pivot has moved above last week's pivot as well. But the bottom central pivot has not moved above the top central pivot, so it's overlapping higher value, not a higher value relationship. So this is moderately bullish, and we basically opened the week here above the top central pivot. So that's also bullish. We came back here, we didn't even touch this this level, right? So when we don't touch the top central pivot or don't interact with the central pivot at all, that's suggesting that we'll definitely get to R1, and we did get to R1, right? So there are some statistics, you could check out that for yourself, where we don't touch the central pivots and we actually are very bullish, and we will get to like R1, which we actually touch like basically to the T, right? So we got to R1, we could possibly get to R2, right? So let's see how that plays out. This is looking good for this setup, right? Let's see. Let's take a look at the cameras here. All right, so we have another overlapping higher value relationship. This was previous week's Camarilla S3. It has now moved up to 46.42. Let's see what the previous level was. Approximately 46.34.50, right? Last week's Camarilla R3 was at 46.69. Now it's moved up to 46.78.50, right? So overlapping high value relationship, moderately bullish. We stayed here at the weekly pivot of S1. We didn't get to S2, so that's looking good for support as well. Let's see if you throw on the pivots again. Make sure this is the weekly, right? So coinciding with the pivots, this is top central pivot, this is S1, this is S1 right here, this is on the top central pivot, and we got the support there at S1, right? And we pushed up all the way to Camarilla R3, right? So this is looking good for a breakout here of Camarilla R3 all the way up to Camarilla R4, which is at 46.96.75. So those are just some levels to pay attention to. R2 is at 46.99.25. So if you get the support here above Camarilla R3, let me make that a little bigger. If you get the support here, now we're already seeing rejection at Camarilla R1. We touched it, right? We came back, we got support here at Camarilla R3, right? But now we're getting this kind of shooting star candle. Now we're still in the ETH, so this could always buy back up by tomorrow and at the open, right? So maybe we might get like a retest of Camarilla, the weekly Camarilla R3, before we actually go bullish, right? So you can see that shooting star kind of candle actually materializing right now. Maybe it might pull back up, get back to R1, or maybe we might just break down to 46.78.50 and try and get bullish from there. Now if we start breaking down and getting reversal patterns here below Camarilla R3, we could see price starting to reverse back to, let's see, the central pivot. Right, so you could also you can start getting like a reversal here to actually, because the central pivot actually acts like a kind of like a magnet to price, right? So seeing that we didn't really test the pivot level, if this starts to get weak right here, we could actually get a potential test back to 46.42, right? So yeah, that's basically it, man. Let's see here, what else could I put on here? Got some VWAP bands. Yeah, the VWAP, this upper VWAP here is around R2, up at 4703.25. So that's potential resistance as well. And yeah, that's about it. I have some accumulation bands here. Let me see. Yeah, these aren't creating big resistance at all. These are these little lines created here when you touch it once. When price touches it once, it creates that band. If it touches it twice, then it starts creating a number next to it. So like this one here has this level has 7 tests for resistance. Right, so you see you have the number 7 next to it there. So we tested that 7 times and broke down. Excuse me. So yeah, that's my breakdown, little Wycoff theory, some central pivots and floor pivots, Camarillas, and market profile, and that's how I kind of like analyze the market to see what's actually transpiring using some volume price analysis as well. And I hope you enjoyed the breakdown. I hope it shines some light on maybe your analysis as well. Maybe it gave you some ideas to move forward during this week. All right, y'all. So it's Malak Shalomo. Y'all trade safe and stay blessed.